going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off The Script. This is episode 301. This is part number 1 for your Survivor Series / Takeover War Games weekend, Friday, November 22nd, 2019. And man, do we got a lot to go over today. Everybody's talking about NXT beating AEW in the ratings. Good for them. I love NXT. But we're going to break the ratings down. NXT might have beaten AEW in the overall ratings, but in every single demographic but one, AEW blew NXT out of the water. And we're going to break this thing down right here on the podcast. I got the Raw ratings as well. As you guys know, Monday Night Raw is absolutely terrible. But they were up for the Survivor Series go-home show that they put on Monday night. And then the SmackDown ratings. The lowest rating since the debut on Fox. I guess the big dog needs to be taken out back and shot. Brings a smile to my face. It really does. It really does to see SmackDown suffer because they absolutely deserve it for the garbage that they put on television. I also got news on Jordan Myles. Yes, folks. It is finally official. He's now released from the WWE. He is no longer with the WWE. He's back on the indies. And apparently he's taking Cedric Alexander with him, whatever that means. We'll go over the official message from WWE. We'll go over the WWE message that they sent to the rest of the NXT locker room in regards to Jordan Myles' release. And why there is now internal pressure from everybody in WWE to release talent that is unhappy. We're going to go over that as well today on Off The Script. Speaking of released, well, he didn't get released, but Jim Cornette, he quits NWA. NWA Powerrr actually had to pull one of their recent episodes due to a racial comment stated by Jim Cornette on their YouTube premiere this past Tuesday. What was it that he said? What is my opinion on it? And why I think everybody should calm down when they go out there and say, I'm not watching NWA anymore. Guys, calm down. We're going to go over it today and what the rest of the roster thought of the comment made by Jim Cornette. Also, I got news, and the big one today, CM Punk. CM Punk explains on WWE Backstage what brought him back to the wrestling world. We're going to go over that. The viewership for CM Punk's debut, or official debut, I should say, on WWE Backstage. What Corey Graves thinks of CM Punk being back on WWE Backstage. And what the WWE higher-ups thought of not only CM Punk being back on Fox with WWE Backstage, but what they thought of the ratings that came in. Were they happy or were they disappointed with one Phil Brooks, CM Punk being back with the WWE, at least in some capacity? Guys, it's going to be a loaded show. I'm glad you're with me today. I am still feeling a little bit under the weather. This cough will not go away, but I am here damn near 100%, and this is going to be a great show, so thank you guys so very much for joining me. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. I would really appreciate it. We are nearing 30,000 followers on the Twitter. And on Instagram, we are nearing 8,100 followers on Instagram. So thank you guys so very much for following me. If you guys have social media or you care about social media in any way, shape, or form, please follow me. Twitter's the best way to keep up to date with literally everything on the channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with not only uploads, but what I'm thinking in real time. And we got a bunch of wrestling to consume this weekend. Tonight we got SmackDown, Saturday TakeOver, Sunday Survivor Series. So it's going to be an action-packed weekend. If you guys want to be in it with me, follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. Make sure you guys, this is very important because I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I think YouTube is once again broken, but what else is new? Everything seems to be down, not only for me, but for literally everybody in the community. YouTube just going with these new mandates and these new laws, and everybody's got to really make sure that their content is what it is with all these new laws hitting YouTube. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell as a backup for all notifications. I would really appreciate that as well. Make sure you guys check out all the other content that I uploaded this week, man. A lot of it. You got Monday Night Raw. You got AEW Off The Script Elite, where we talk about nothing but AEW news and rumors. AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. NXT. My NXT review was probably one of the more polarizing, if not the most polarizing NXT review. But I don't think anybody watching me on Thursday afternoon when they watch that podcast go live on YouTube, I don't think anybody out there disagrees with me. I think you are really ignorant if you do. So the NXT review, very polarizing. Make sure you guys go and check that out for the quote-unquote go-home show, if you even want to call it that. And then, obviously, today with Off The Script, and then later tonight, we got SmackDown. I can't wait to see the fucking big dog roll through wherever they are. So we'll talk about SmackDown, and then obviously this weekend, I'll be back with Part 2. And then we got TakeOver, and then we got Survivor Series. So this is just the tip of the iceberg this weekend. But if you missed any of the content, make sure you guys go and check all that stuff out down below. I'll link everything you guys need down in the description of this very video. If you guys want to show some support on Patreon, you guys can certainly do that. It's never an obligation. It's never a mandate. I never demand you to do so. It's there if you want. That is patreon.com/JD from NY206. And today, the podcast is brought to you by my good friends, as always, my good friends over at Harry's. Harry's.com/script. You guys are going to use our unique link and get their $13 value trial set delivered right to your door just in time for the holidays. That's Harry's.com/script. Guys, I know the holiday season is a pain in the ass. I don't like it either. I don't like anything about the holidays. I am, in fact, a real-life Grinch. I hate Santa Claus, I hate the lights, I hate the cold weather, I hate the crowds. I don't like anything. Just go tell Mrs. Claus to bake me some cookies and give me a nice, cold gingerbread beer. But I know it's frustrating, and I remember back when I was little, and I used to visit my grandma, and my grandpa was sitting in his rocking chair, and we used to give him the gifts that we got him, right? Boring gifts like socks, a wallet, t-shirts, flannel, work pants, slippers. I mean, these are boring gifts. It's making me sad just talking about this. Now, I know if I'm my grandpa, I'm looking at these gifts and I'm like, bro, what the hell's going on here? Now, what guy in your life are you shopping for this holiday season? Your dad, your brother, your uncle? Now, I know those are boring gifts, but I got a brilliant idea. I got something that's going to be a thoughtful and practical gift. Harry's. I love Harry's. I use it every single day. I love the closeness of their shave. I love the smooth glide of the blade. And I love the fact that when I use their razors, I've never cut myself once at all. Listeners of my show this holiday season can get $5 off any Harry's shave set by heading to harrys.com/script. Guys, that's $5 off any Harry's shave set by using harrys.com/script. You guys are going to get free shipping, and that is good through December 16th, so act now. It's a practical gift that he'll actually use. Harry's makes sharp blades that last, German engineered and award-winning, backed 100% quality guarantee, so if he doesn't love his shave, you're going to get a full refund. It's a great deal for you and for him. Holiday sets start at just $20. That's within Secret Santa limits. And Harry's blades, they're refills, and they go as low as $2. So your guy will save money over time. And your gift gives back. 1% of each sale will be donated to charitable organizations. As a special offer for fans of the show, we've partnered with Harry's to give you guys $5 off, like I mentioned, any shave set, including their limited edition holiday sets, when you go to harrys.com/script, and you're going to get the free shipping. Each Harry's shave set comes with a weighted handle with the option to engrave, 5 blade razor cartridges, foaming shave gel for a rich lather, travel cover to protect your blades, packaged in a handsome holiday gift box. Free shipping ends on December 16th, so act now. Just go to harrys.com/script. Guys, this is a great deal, and it's going to make a great gift for that guy in your life. Once again, that's harrys.com/script. All right, man, enough of the Christmas shit. Enough of the Harrys. Let's talk wrestling. Got a lot of news to get into, and we're going to start off, of course, like we always do, like we've been doing here on the podcast. We're going to talk about the ratings, because everybody loves the ratings for AEW, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, which still brings a smile to my face that they accumulated the lowest ratings since their debut. They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. Now, let's start off with what everybody is talking about, and that is NXT beating AEW in total viewership, but AEW beats NXT in that ever so important 18 to 49 demographic. Now, I feel like I have to mention this again because, like I mentioned before, my NXT review for this week was a very polarizing podcast. And I don't understand people sometimes. I really don't. I don't understand people because if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, even going back to the OG days, I love NXT. NXT is my favorite brand in all of North America. NXT is easily my favorite brand in WWE. I've always stated it from day one. It is the A show. It's always been the A show. It will always be the A show. And it sucks that people are the way that they are, because I try and give you guys a dose of reality. I try always to give you guys exactly what you're watching. And when you go out there and criticize something that people like, even when I am probably a bigger fan of the brand than you are, I'm criticizing my own favorite thing. But when you go out there, someone like me, when you go out there and criticize somebody's favorite thing or favorite show, or if you criticize something that the majority of the people like, you're going to get shit on for it. I came under fire for whatever reason because I'm not in the know, I'm negative, I'm always complaining, whatever excuse. AEW shill, I got Tony Khan on speed dial, I got my fucking first class plane ticket booked to Jacksonville to go meet with the Young Bucks and Tony Khan and sign an AEW contract. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. But I want you guys to understand something. The AEW effect is more real than it has ever been before. Everything that WWE has done has been in retaliation of AEW. Everything. To the contracts, to the Evolve show that they put on to go head-to-head with Fight for the Fallen, right? How many Evolve shows have you seen since that show? Zero Evolve shows. Why did they do it? AEW effect. 5-year contracts for everybody. AEW effect. Fucking Jinder Mahal getting fucking $1 million contracts. AEW effect. Mojo Rawley getting $1 million contracts. AEW effect. You know? Everything that they've done. AEW effect. Moving TakeOver's pay-per-view schedule next year. AEW effect. Moving NXT live on Wednesday nights at 2 hours when they never needed 2 hours. AEW effect. WWE, and I said this before, I don't know why this is a surprise to you guys. AEW is a threat to WWE. The only reason why NXT is live at 2 hours on the USA Network is to take away viewership from AEW. They are risking the integrity of NXT to combat AEW. It's the only reason why they're doing it. I've stated this before, so this is not news to you guys. You should already know this. I want you guys to look in the mirror. I want you guys to look at yourselves long and hard. That's what she said. About what you watched on Wednesday nights. I love NXT more than anything. Was that a typical NXT show, and please don't use the excuse, oh, but they were building to the Survivor Series. Was it a typical NXT show? Was it a real NXT show? Was it an NXT show that you guys have come to know and love and appreciate? Was it an NXT show that you watch every Wednesday and say, that's what the main roster needs to be? The answer is no. The answer is no. I want you guys to think back to what you watched on that show. It was a Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Super Show. That's all it was. We didn't get any proper build for TakeOver at all. We didn't get any proper build for TakeOver until the Adam Cole and Dominik Dijakovic main event. That was an hour and 50 minutes into the show. Oh, but Shayna Baszler attacked Rhea Ripley, JD. Okay, so what does that mean? There was more focus on the Survivor Series in that opening match than there was on TakeOver. So we got Adam Cole and Dominik Dijakovic in the main event, an hour and 50 minutes into the show. And that was the only real glimpse of a TakeOver build. Yeah, we got Balor and Matt Riddle, but what was that? 30 seconds, 45 seconds, right? Then I want you guys to think about this one. Pete Dunne and Damian Priest have been going at it for a couple of weeks now. Very minimal build. The story is there. We've seen glimpses of this on NXT TV. Then you throw in Killian Dane. The story that has developed with these three guys has been lazy. It's been unexciting. Typical of what you would see on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. NXT goes and announces this triple threat match on Wednesday's show. That's going to be taking place at TakeOver War Games. They talk about this triple threat match happening, and they give it about 1 minute of build and 1 minute of hype on Wednesday's show. And then they go and announce that the winner of this triple threat match will go on to fight Adam Cole at Survivor Series for the NXT Championship. They set aside 1 minute of Wednesday's show to go over a triple threat match to determine a number one contender for the NXT Championship that will be defended at Survivor Series. Is that what the NXT Championship deserves? Now, the build has been minimal. The build hasn't been out there for those three guys. Pete Dunne and Damian Priest have had back-to-back matches that were very good. Insert Killian Dane, who really hasn't done much of anything in NXT outside of a feud with Matt Riddle. This is very reminiscent of what you see on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, yet I am to sit here and boast and brag and fucking be positive about NXT show on Wednesday that was merely a Raw and SmackDown Super Show that built towards Survivor Series and none towards TakeOver War Games. This has been the worst TakeOver build in the 7 years that I've been watching NXT. And if you guys can't figure that out, and if you guys want to sweep it under the rug, right, because it's Survivor Series, then I don't know what you're thinking. You're all ingrained in this fucking mediocrity. This is not NXT. If you're a true fan of NXT, this is not NXT. This is exactly ending up the way I told you it would end up. That was more of a Vince McMahon production than a Triple H production. So NXT beats AEW. Why was that? If they didn't beat AEW, then there would be a major issue. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, fucking whoever else they had show up on that show, right? Ricochet, the War Raiders, the Revival. It was a fucking NXT fiesta with the main roster. Of course they're going to beat AEW. It wasn't a real NXT show. It wasn't a real NXT show with a go-home show for TakeOver that was non-existent. The worst TakeOver build I have ever seen. Ever. I don't understand why you guys are out there complaining that I'm complaining, because NXT, the way we see it from Wednesday's show, is not the true NXT that we all fell in love with. So spare me the fucking bullshit. Look yourselves in the mirror and ask yourself, was that a show that is worthy of being NXT? The answer is no. And don't make excuses because it's Survivor Series. Fuck a Survivor Series. Another thing I want to make mention of. Everybody's like, JD, why are you complaining about the Survivor Series build? Why are you complaining about the Survivor Series teams not getting anything? Why don't you look at War Games and stop being hypocritical? What do they get for winning War Games? I never knew that there was supposed to be something about winning War Games. Winning War Games means beating Undisputed Era. That's the fucking winner. That's what the winner gets by winning War Games. Because coming out of that, more than likely, Tommaso Ciampa is going to get a shot at Adam Cole in the NXT Championship. And it was supposed to be Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, more than likely going up against the Undisputed Era for the Tag Team Championships. Nobody needs to get anything from War Games. War Games is an internal struggle in NXT because the Undisputed Era has a chokehold over NXT for the last 3 years. That's War Games. When there's a faction in NXT that has been so dominant that you put them in War Games because anybody else that goes up against the Undisputed Era is going to be a threat. So that's why everybody's in War Games. Survivor Series, stop making fucking excuses. Well, if you're going to complain about the Survivor Series not getting anything, well, you should say the same thing about War Games. It only happened this year while people are complaining about this. I made mention of this in the previous years, and you will agree with me. This year, forgive me for explaining to you that it needs to be a certain way, and forgive me for complaining about a fucking NXT show that was not reminiscent of an NXT show. I think every one of you have lost your fucking mind. I really do. Survivor Series needs a reward for everybody involved. That's the fucking basis of it, because we live in a draft era, WWE. Why is everybody fighting? The fuck does Raw give a shit about SmackDown? Why does SmackDown give a shit about Raw when they're both exclusive, separate entities? If you're putting them together, there better be a fucking reward at the end of this thing. NXT doesn't belong in this shit. And again, the only reason why NXT is in the Survivor Series is because WWE will risk it all to beat AEW. I'm glad that they got their one victory that they so desperately wanted. NXT averaged 916,000 viewers, up 22% from last week, and the best number the show has done against AEW. They still trailed in the ever so important 18 to 49 demographic with a 0.30 rating. That was up 20% from last week and tied the November 6th episode of NXT's second best number since the start of the wars. AEW Dynamite, they came in second with 893,000 viewers, but they had a 0.39 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. What does that mean? That means AEW hit that ever so important demographic that advertisers drool over. It means that AEW is now cooler than NXT. AEW is more marketable to advertisers than NXT is. So that is good enough to be 8th in the night on cable. NXT finished 13th. AEW was down 9% in the demo and 7% overall in terms of viewers from last week's post-Full Gear episode. As per usual, Dynamite beat NXT in every demographic except for over 50 years old, where NXT had a bigger than usual advantage of 0.40 to 0.29 that AEW drew in that same demographic. It's logical to assume it did better in that demo due to the overwhelming populace of Raw and SmackDown performers that would be a little bit more familiar to that audience. It was advertised in advance that wrestlers from Raw and SmackDown would be on NXT. And like I said, it would be a shame if NXT did not beat AEW with the announcement of an open door policy. At the end of Monday's Raw, Triple H cut a promo hyping that there would be an open door policy on NXT. And then the first thing we see is Becky Lynch to start NXT, as if it was a Monday Night Raw. AEW was strongest with males 18 to 49. They had a 0.52 advantage over NXT. NXT drew a 0.39 in the male demographic, 18 to 49. And though that was closer than the two shows usually are in that demo. I will not speak on this anymore. If they did not beat AEW this week, then everybody would be saying, fuck NXT, it is a complete waste of time on Wednesday nights. If you guys look at the ratings being a determining factor. I don't give a shit about the ratings. I talk about the ratings because I need news. And this is important information for a podcast. And I love making people look stupid. I really do. A lot of you don't think. A lot of you don't use your brains the way you should. A lot of you don't watch these shows the way that I do. If you enjoyed NXT, by all means, have a fucking blast. You know, have a blast. I'm not telling you what you like, what you can like, and what you cannot like. I'm telling you the reality of the situation. You're not gonna fucking sit here and discuss NXT with me when I've been watching NXT and fucking sucking NXT dick for the last 7 years. You're not gonna find a bigger fucking fan of NXT on this platform. I've boasted about NXT every single fucking week on this podcast. You're not gonna tell me what NXT feels like and doesn't feel like. That didn't feel like an NXT episode to me. I have every fucking right to say it didn't feel like an NXT episode. You want to go fucking start your own podcast? Then you go tell your fucking non-existent audience that NXT was so great on Wednesday night. The build for TakeOver War Games was not only the worst TakeOver War Games build, it's the best, it's the worst TakeOver build ever. Next year, this cannot exist. Survivor Series and War Games cannot exist on the same weekend. Not unless you want everybody to be fucking dead come Sunday night. How everybody's gonna wrestle in that War Games match and then go right back in the same venue on the very next night and do Survivor Series, I don't know. Are they fucking machines? Did WWE go out there and hire fucking 8 Terminators? It's ridiculous. Cannot be the same way. If you want to include NXT in the Survivor Series, which, again, I will reiterate, the only reason why they're there is because they want to beat AEW. How can we beat AEW? Oh, I know. Let's make a last-minute decision and put them in the Survivor Series. You mean to tell me, out of the last 2 years when NXT was at its peak, you mean to tell me you didn't put NXT in the Survivor Series those last 2 years, but this year, you want to put them in the Survivor Series? I wonder why. Think. Most of you do not. WWE Raw. Their ratings were slightly up. How? I don't know. But it still was the second lowest non-holiday number in modern history. I laugh every time I read lowest non-holiday number ever. Because they deserve it. Raw was actually, I don't want to say Raw was a good show. Raw had some great in-ring action on Monday night. Still the same shit, but I gotta give them credit where credit is due. The in-ring action was great. Some of it, at least. Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens. Then we had, who else was there? It was, I don't even remember. Who else was there? I don't even fucking know. That's how fucking unimportant these shows are. I don't remember. Raw this week was up from last week, but still the second lowest non-holiday number in modern history. The show did a 2.13 million viewer rating, slightly below 2 other episodes that they also did very close to that number. Only last week's episode did a 2.06 million viewers against a monster football game. Would have been lower. Now, the key points were that the audience started lower than even in bad weeks, but also declined less during the show. Raw was 11th on cable, but beat everything in the 18 to 49 demographic except ESPN. Raw was down 15% from the same week last year. There you go. Where are those 15%? What are they doing? As far as the first to third hour drop in key demos, women 18 to 49 dropped 18%, men dropped 18%, teenage girls dropped 24%, and teenage boys stayed even, while over 50 dropped 12%. The main thing that was built in the 3-hour program was the Viking Raiders versus Randy Orton and a mystery partner, which we all knew would be Ricochet due to the happenings that happened the week before, which wasn't as compelling as everybody expected it to be. But the decline was far less than last week's record-setting 26% first to third hour drop. The LA Chargers versus Kansas City Chiefs NFL game did 12.57 million viewers, which is a good number for Monday Night Football, but nowhere close to the level of last week's game that hit 16 million viewers. The number can't be considered good given all the brand invasion stuff that was going on for Survivor Series. The hourly breakdown is the following. 8 p.m., 2.25, 9 p.m., 2.21, and then the 10 p.m. hour, 1.93. That third hour is a killer, which I'll say it, and I always say it, and I'm going to continue saying it. The show needs to be 2 hours. The show sucks at 3 hours. I don't know how these people could even contemplate writing 3 hours of this mindless garbage on a Monday night every single week. So that was Monday Night Raw. Good in-ring action. Overall, the show was fucking trash, as always. Friday Night SmackDown. They drew the lowest rating since their Fox debut. Now, according to Showbuzz Daily, Friday Night SmackDown drew an average of 2.35 million viewers. Despite being pre-taped in Manchester for the week prior, the show did considerably better, drawing an average of 2.61. I don't know how the tape show drew a 2.61 and this week drew a 2.35. I guess the Big Dog segment was drawing people away from the show. I am not surprised by that whatsoever. Apart from the October 25th show, which aired on FS1 instead of Fox due to the World Series game, this week's show brought the least amount of viewers since WWE moved SmackDown to Fox at the beginning of October. Despite doing quite poorly in the ratings, this last episode of SmackDown was still the most watched live wrestling show of the week, which is not surprising being that they're on a channel like Fox. By comparison, Monday Night Raw drew 2.04 million viewers on Monday, while AEW Dynamite and NXT, this was the week prior, by the way, AEW Dynamite and NXT were watched by 957 and 750,000 people, respectively. That was last week. Friday Night SmackDown didn't garner the best ratings this week. Fox reportedly had an issue with some of their creative decisions as well. At least Vince McMahon seems to be, laughing and having a jovial time watching the fucking Big Dog come out and Baron Corbin out there pretending to be a fucking heel and a king. He should be serving fucking hamburgers. Do you want lettuce and tomato with that? Fries on the side or onion rings? You fucking cretin. So, there are sources reporting that WWE and Vince McMahon loved the Baron Corbin Roman Reigns segments. It was written in an attempt to make Vince McMahon happy and keep jobs safe. Oh, that's right. Fuck the fans. Fuck the fans. We're going to write this show for Vince McMahon. So they're pretty much telling you the people in this company, they have within their minds, before they even get to work, we have to write a show for an audience of one. Fuck all the millions watching this show around the world, or at least here in the United States. Fuck them. Fuck them. We're going to write this show for Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon only. If he laughs, then my job is safe. If he smiles, my job is safe. Maybe he'll even call me out by name next time I walk by him in the hallway. This is what we have resulted in. This is what WWE has come to. Writing a SmackDown show to make Vince McMahon get a fucking hard-on in his $5,000 suit and make a few laughs. I don't believe this shit. Every one of these fucking people should be fired. And Vince McMahon should be locked away. Locked away, far away in a fucking mental asylum. This is ridiculous. How this place can operate under these pretenses, I don't know. It is actually fucking sad. Yet I'm the one who bitches and moans and complains from his mother's basement on YouTube about a fucking fake product, right? So, this source says, and I quote, "Remember the writers." This, by the way, this is reported by Wrestling News. Take it with a grain of salt, but I believe every fucking thing that's said in this report. "Remember, the writers are trying to make Vince happy. If he's happy, then it means that their jobs are safe. Vince has always been a fan of segments that parody his wrestlers. As long as Vince is around, you will always see segments like this." Now, there are other reports that said Fox wasn't thrilled with the Big Dog segment with Baron Corbin. There is apparently hope that this could eventually mean that WWE will get a little bit of pressure from Fox to put on a better show. According to sources from Fox, people at Fox are not amused by the big dog segment on SmackDown. They hope that, Fox hopes that this eventually translates into better WWE television by bringing some pressure upon them for these shitty segments. SmackDown is awful. I don't believe we all hoped for a more sports directive on Fox with SmackDown, and we've gotten the complete opposite. In some circles, this is worse than Monday Night Raw. In fact, Monday Night Raw actually had a better show than SmackDown. How is that even fucking possible? I don't believe those words actually came out of my mouth. I really don't understand this shit. Like, why are these shows so bad? And the Survivor Series build has done nothing to garner excitement on these shows. It's the same fucking rinse and repeat. Oh, here's another locker room coming out to invade and start a big brawl. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? That's lame writing. If that's the best you could do, maybe you should just fucking hand in your pen. SmackDown is garbage. Raw is garbage. NXT this week was a good show, but it wasn't NXT. WWE, I can't wait for the Survivor Series build to be over. I can't wait for Survivor Series to be over. I want to go back to normal weeks. No week in WWE is a normal week. The normal week in WWE is garbage on Monday and Friday. Speaking of Raw, some of you might have noticed that Dio Madden has not been there. Some people are calling racism. Some people saying that WWE took Dio Madden, or Vince McMahon took Dio Madden from the commentary table because he doesn't like black people. Give me a break. Which might be the case, but I don't think that's the reason why Dio Madden is not at the color commentator position on Monday Night Raw. Now, it was Jerry Lawler and Vic Joseph, and this week was Samoa Joe. He did a phenomenal job. And clearly Samoa Joe has a lot left to give in the ring, but if he wants a job like that after his career is over, by all means, give that man a fucking position on the color commentary team. Or the commentary team for a color commentary position on either show. I think he's great. He sounded legit. He sounded real. He didn't sound forced. He didn't sound like somebody was regurgitating garbage through his headset. He sounded great. And I think everybody in WWE probably knows that. But he's going to get better. His thumb is going to heal, and he's going to be back in the ring. And he should be the one to be a top contender for the Universal or the WWE Championship, because the Universal title's on SmackDown. So he should definitely be back in the thick of things soon. But Dio Madden, he is not on the commentary team, and PW Insider reports he is still officially a part of the commentary team and is only off right now to sell Brock Lesnar's attack from a few weeks ago. Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler did the first show as a two-man team, and then this week they were joined by the injured Samoa Joe. Madden, Joseph, and Lawler were a three-man team formed for the season premiere of Monday Night Raw on September 30th. This was a Paul Heyman decision. And Michael Cole, Corey Graves, as you guys know, are the team over on Friday Night SmackDown. I would like to see more and hear more of Dio Madden, and believe it or not, in some weird dimension, WWE is actually playing up the part of Logic, because he was attacked by Brock Lesnar and thrown through a table. Poor little commentary guy thrown through a table by Brock Lesnar. They're selling the attack. Now, what does it mean in the long run? Nothing, but I appreciate the logic. So thank you, WWE, for at least having one iota of a brain cell that actually is functioning. Now, Jordan Myles. We all know Jordan Myles. T-shirt incident. It was racist to many different people. It came off racist to Jordan Myles. He blasted WWE on social media. He went about things in the way that he felt like he had to go about things. I'm not blaming him for saying or doing anything. That's his decision. That's his career choice. That's his life choice. He could be upset. By all means, I understand why he's upset. I did some background research on it. I know why he's upset. He could do whatever he wants. He could feel however he wants. From an outsider's perspective looking in, he did I would say, go over the line. He did kind of supersede what should have been done. He overreacted in certain situations, and he was unprofessional. I think we could all honestly sit down and look at each other and have a civil conversation and at least understand and agree that Jordan Myles overreacted somewhat in the situation with the t-shirt. Now, Jordan Myles, he came on Instagram or Periscope or Twitter. I don't know which one. I think it was Periscope, right? And he went live. He said, fuck WWE. He quit. We played the video last week on the podcast. And he had a Twitter Q&A because he deleted his Twitter account. Then he miraculously showed back up because, of course, he did. And he was on Twitter and he conducted a Q&A. And he explained why he thinks Vince McMahon's company is racist. And this is what he said. The WWE was racist to me because of the t-shirt they produced for me. I was lied to, which really hurt my feelings the most. On top of that, if that was their image of me, what does that say about, the kids, the African-American kids that watch it, or just people in general that watch it, that felt some kind of way about that shirt, not just me. I think that shirt was disrespectful, it was disgraceful, and on top of that, it was a slap in my face. Not only to myself, but all the viewers that look just like me. I think that shirt was completely racist. And if you go back and you do the history, they've given titles and championships to African Americans, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they have done things that were very insensitive to the African American community, and I think a lot of people really need to look at that. End quote. Now, he has every right, like I said, to feel the way that he does. He could go out there and explain that WWE is racist to everybody. And I know for a fact that Vince McMahon is very discriminatory against certain races, just not African Americans. He's discriminatory against anybody that doesn't speak English. He's discriminatory against the Asian talent that comes on into the WWE. Nobody ever gets pushed the way that we expect them to get pushed. Nobody ever gets pushed based on their talent. If you don't have big tits, a big ass, and blonde, as a female, you ain't getting pushed. If you don't speak English, you ain't getting pushed. If you're not American, you're not getting pushed. African Americans, they gotta have some sort of agenda behind it to actually get behind you, aka Kofi Kingston. Because if they didn't push Kofi Kingston, what would everybody go out there and be saying? They'd be a million Jordan Myles out there on social media if Kofi Kingston didn't win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Now, I want to go back to what he said here. They've given titles and championships to African Americans, but that doesn't take away the fact that they've done things that are very insensitive to the African American community, and I think a lot of people really need to look at that. I don't know why he said that and is making himself to be some type of, enemy. He's making himself out to be the big target here. You should have already known that before you even signed with the WWE in the first place. If you knew this already, why would you even contemplate going to the WWE? Knowing that your ceiling is very low to begin with. I don't understand that logic. Oh, it's his dream to go to WWE. By all means, go and pursue your dream. But if you already know that, you can't use that as a fucking excuse. Well, I'm just pursuing my fucking dream. You're doing yourself self-harm. You're doing yourself damage. And then you're going to go out there and make yourself seem like the one everybody's picking on because you feel some sort of way. I don't appreciate that, man. You should have been wise enough to know that this is the way the company operates just based off the history of how things have gone. So who's to blame here? Is Jordan Myles to blame? Is the WWE to blame? I think both parties are to blame. WWE for being insensitive, and obviously, in most situations, they are racist and discriminatory against several races, just not the African Americans. But this guy should have known better to go to the WWE and think that he was going to main event WrestleMania and be a WWE champion, when his ceiling, realistically, was no more than 205 Live. Now, it's been reported that WWE actually had big plans to push Jordan Myles as one of NXT's top stars on USA Network. During this same Q&A, Myles was asked if he moved on from WWE. He said legally, no at this time, but mentally, yes. Which brings us to the current day. Jordan Myles has been released from the WWE. It's official. They let him go quietly. He is gone. Now, WWE sent a clear message to the locker room with Jordan Myles' release. Jordan Myles raised a lot of controversy with the t-shirt and saying that WWE doesn't care about black people. Now, Jordan Myles put this video out where he said Jordan Myles is my slave name. He quit WWE. Fightful reports that WWE hasn't responded to questions at that time regarding Myles' current status with the company. It was also reported that his locker was cleared out at the WWE PC, the WWE Performance Center, and those who saw it go and felt, or the people that seen it go down and them clearing out the locker, this was the company sending the talent at Full Sail and the PC a very strong and clear message. Now, Fightful says, and I quote, "We've been told that his Performance Center locker has been cleared out and a box of his belongings were in clear sight of the locker room so everyone could see. A clear message was said one talent." Triple H actually spoke on an NXT TakeOver War Games conference call this week about superstars going public with their problems, and he advised against it. Myles is already taking bookings in the Texas area, and he's going by Super ACH once again. During a recent conference call for TakeOver War Games, Triple H addressed the growing trend of WWE superstars airing their grievances online. He said that Twitter is not the place for it, and neither is going to the media. If you have a problem with anything, then just pick up the phone. He says this, and I quote, and this is all he said: "That ain't the place to do it. We all have phones. Handle your business like a professional." End quote. And that's exactly where Jordan Myles fucked up. If it was truly his dream to pursue anything in WWE and really make a difference and really make a change, if he really cared about making a change, he could have gone the professional route, sit and talk with Triple H, explain how he felt behind closed doors. They would have had a lot more respect for him. Something could have been, rectified from all this mess. He still could have been on TV. He still could have been in line for a push. But he went about it in a very unprofessional manner and felt like he was public enemy number one, and he wanted to make a statement by doing what he did. And he could feel however he feels. You could side with him. You could go against him. However you guys feel about ACH, Jordan Myles, you guys can feel any way you want. But truly, you got to ask yourself, if he wanted to make a difference in anything, he went about going with this entire situation the wrong way. If he wanted to make a true difference, he could have overcame all of these stereotypes and all of these little nuances, right? About WWE not pushing the African-American talent that they got employed. He could have worked his ass off if he truly wanted to, if this was his dream, to overcome all that and stand out above. I did it, and I'm going to be an influence for everybody else. But he refused to do that. He refused to go against the company, which he was never going to win anyway. And now he's gotten his release. He asked for his release. He quit. Now he's got his release. So, on social media, he was photographed, or someone photographed him signing legal documents. I don't know if that was his actual release papers. But Big Swole, Cedric Alexander's wife, who just got signed to AEW, she actually tweeted at ACH saying congratulations, good luck, etc., etc. And then ACH replies to Big Swole saying, "I'm not done yet. I'm looking out for your husband as well." Meaning that he is looking to get Cedric Alexander out of WWE as well and join him back on the independent circuit. Now, we haven't heard anything about Cedric Alexander. We haven't heard about him being unhappy. He might very well be unhappy. We don't know. He's been misused for his entire WWE run, pretty much. Especially on Raw. Maybe on 205 Live he found some success, but on Monday Night Raw, he hasn't amounted to anything. Cedric Alexander is also another guy that's hit a certain career ceiling in WWE. They will never look at him more than what they see now. So now, the rumor out there, and he's starting more shit even though he got what he wanted, he's now talking about current WWE employees, saying that he's going to get those who are with him and are unhappy about this situation out of the WWE, and he name drops Cedric. Now, what is this going to lead to? Is this going to be something that the company sees that they're going to punish Cedric Alexander for because his wife was mingling with this guy who's a fucking raging lunatic on social media that they just released? I don't know. Not really unfair. Everybody came down on ACH for going at Jay Lethal and calling him an Uncle Tom when Jay Lethal was holed up in a hospital somewhere fucking recuperating from a broken arm. Now he's mentioning and name-dropping Cedric Alexander, which we don't know how he feels. The only one who knows how he feels is Cedric. So this is a developing situation, and I will keep you guys updated on it. But, I mean, again, I don't want to talk about this clown anymore. And I'm pretty sure I will be calling one of his matches eventually on the indies. It's not like he's not going to find work. He's too talented. He's fucking phenomenal. He's too great to not find work. But if he really wanted to make a statement and really be a positive influence on what he is going out there and proclaiming, then he should have wrote it out, went professional with it, talked to Triple H about this, and really made a difference and overcome all these stereotypes and really come out on the other end looking like a true fucking hero and a true influence to all those little kids that look up to him and feel the same way that he does. So you can feel however you feel about ACH. You could side with him. ACH can say whatever and do what he wants. It's his life, it's his career. But I'm looking at it from an outsider's perspective looking in, and I think he went about it a little unprofessionally. And he could have handled this business just a little bit better with WWE. Now, there is internal pressure to grant talent releases from the company. WWE is not letting anybody go for obvious reasons. AEW effect. Man, I'm still under the weather. But Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that there is a thought in WWE about releasing superstars who want to leave, and that would actually help backstage morale. The fact is that there are people starting to pull together and start asking for release requests, but Vince McMahon has not even entertained the idea. Meltzer says, and I quote, I don't know, there's different schools of thought. There's a school of thought that all of these guys who want to leave, that are there in WWE, they are really not happy, and that is kind of hurting the morale in the locker room, and it's just better to let them go. They're not letting people go. I know who have argued to let people go. I know people who have argued to let people go, but they're not letting anyone go at all. So until they do, all these guys aren't going anywhere. Be quiet. Be, easy for me to say. There's a time for that. Now, for the guys who signed 5-year contracts and 3 months later they want to go, like Mike Kanellis, that's a bad situation that I can't help you with because that was you. Don't sign 5-year deals if you know that you're going to be unhappy, end quote. Which Mike Kanellis proved that he is a fucking idiot. And I have no regret or no sympathy at all. I know he regrets his situation, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, poor Mike Kanellis. You should have known, clown. You should have known. Now, there is internal pressure to release WWE talents, but is WWE going to grant releases? No, because they do not want to make AEW stronger. Not to say all these talents that they release are going to go to AEW. Who knows? AEW might not want all the talents that they release from WWE because then there's going to be a stereotype on AEW that they're nothing more than a WWE B-team landfill. They're a catering landfill for WWE. They don't want that. They don't want that at all. Maybe a Revival, maybe a Luke Harper, guys that they know that they could use and benefit from. Kairi Sane is another one. Oni Lorcan is another one who asked for his release. A lot of guys are asking for the release. So we'll go over that at some point this week. And I'm not sure if it's in this show. Is it in this show? It's not in this show. It's going to be in tomorrow's show. We'll go over all the talent that's been asking for their release. Kairi Sane could be on her way out as well. But what is more important to WWE? The backstage morale of their locker room? The backstage morale of their employees? Or the fact that they don't bolster AEW's roster? I think the answer is pretty simple. When has WWE ever gave a shit? Or when has WWE ever given a shit about their locker room? Never. You kidding me? What's more important to WWE? Their employees or bolstering AEW? Give me a break. Everybody knows the answer to that. I don't need to sit here and fucking go over that shit with you. They're not letting anybody go. Sean Spears and Dustin Rhodes got lucky that they were let go. Sin Cara, they won't even release Sin Cara. We don't even remember what Hunico looks like. Guy wants to go to MMA. Wants to go wrestle and fight in Mexico. MMA with Alberto Del Rio. They're not letting him go. Right? Mike Kanellis. Who the fuck is a Mike Kanellis? Let him go. What is he going to do? Oh my God, he's going to add to Impact Wrestling's roster. Go! You are nothing to WWE. Go. Same thing with ACH. Go. Luke Harper, that's a different story. I understand why they're not going to let Luke Harper go. Luke Harper is a talented motherfucker. You're not going to let him go and have him walk right into AEW, because I know they'll find a use for him instantly, right? They're not going to let these guys, they're not going to let the Revival go. They're not going to let the Revival go, because they know that the Revival, as soon as they show up in AEW, instant classics with everybody in that division. They know. WWE has internal pressure, but that doesn't mean that they're going to grant anyone their release, because they are selfish. They'd rather everyone be unhappy so that they don't add more momentum to AEW. Guys, just a quick intermission here before we get right back into the podcast. We're going to go over Jim Cornette and him quitting NWA Powerrr over racial comments made on commentary. And then the big one, we're going to talk about CM Punk and everything that came along with CM Punk's debut on WWE Backstage. I got to give my boy Sal Rex a shout out. His new holiday specials are in, and if you guys need artwork for anything you guys are involved in, Sal Rex is your man. Now, who do you think does all those beautiful thumbnails that you see in your subscription box when you're looking for the Monday Night Raw review, Off The Script Elite, AEW Dynamite, NXT, SmackDown, and then, of course, Off The Script, on top of the pay-per-view reviews that you will see this weekend with TakeOver and Survivor Series? It's Sal Rex. He's just a DM away. SRXGFX. His DMs are open, and you guys can see the prices there. Basic designs, $10. Detailed, $20 this holiday season. And you guys know he's got some reputable names behind him. Solomonster Sounds Off, House of Glory, and obviously right here on Off The Script. If you guys need any artwork, he's your guy. Hit him up and give him your business this holiday season. Sal Rex on Twitter, SRXGFX. Shout out to him. He makes the channel look and feel fucking amazing. So shout out to him, and go through him for all of your banner, logo, t-shirt designs, album covers, anything you guys need, layouts, thumbnails. He's your man this holiday season. Hit him up on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, NWA and Dave Lagana had to go to Twitter to clean up a mess started by Jim Cornette on NWA Powerrr. Now, I briefly went over this on Twitter. I only had 140 characters on my Twitter timeline, so I really couldn't have said much of anything else but what I said on Twitter. And I have not watched any of NWA at all, but I went out there and I watched this certain segments that everybody was ripping into on NWA Powerrr on Tuesday, where they had to actually pull the episode, edit it, and then remove the comments made by Jim Cornette, and then re-upload it as a YouTube premiere on Tuesday. It caused a shitstorm for NWA on Tuesday. An outrage where people said that they will not back or support NWA after the comments made by Jim Cornette, which, in my honest and professional opinion, is a little ridiculous. Why don't you get off your high horse and just go and watch the show that I know you enjoy? Don't let one man's comments ruin the entire experience and the hard work that everybody at NWA is trying to provide to you. Comments made by Jim Cornette have caused an outrage on Twitter this week. Now, these are the comments made by Cornette, and I'm going to go over exactly what he said. This is what he said word for word about speaking in regards to Trevor Murdoch. And I quote, "He's the only man I've ever known who can strap a bucket of fried chicken on his back and ride a motor scooter across Ethiopia." End quote. Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette. Was it insensitive? Yes. Was it wrong? Yes. And I will explain why I think it was wrong. But, I will go out there and say, this is the same thing with the Kenny Omega situation. There are a bunch of people who love to make themselves the center of attention. Oh, woe is me! Oh, woe is me. Was it wrong? Absolutely. Leave it at that. I don't need to hear your fucking political stance on why this is wrong and why this is wrong. We live in a society of fucking pussies. We live in a society where everyone wants to float around like fucking little fairies. Oh my God, Jim Cornette hurt my feelings so much. He said worse on his podcast. He said worse in his career than what he stated here on NWA. Don't let his comments ruin the show for you. You got so many hardworking men and women who go out there and provide you NWA. Who the fuck knows how long it's going to be around? I don't even know if they have a budget to continue doing what they're doing. Don't let his comments ruin the show for you. He quit. Good. He appeased all of you by quitting. So now you can watch the show in peace. That's all I will say on his situation. Now, Dave Lagana has found himself apologizing a lot for Jim Cornette this week. Recently, Lagana apologized for Cornette's comments related to suicide. Statement by the NWA on Jim Cornette, and I quote, "Over the last few days, a situation was brought to our attention in regards to the comments made by Jim Cornette that have been taken as making light of the subject of suicide. We've addressed this situation internally with Mr. Cornette and made it clear that any comments in regards to this subject, joking or serious, are not endorsed by Lightning One and the National Wrestling Alliance. Mr. Cornette understands the seriousness of this situation, and with that, he will remain the color commentator for NWA Powerrr." That was obviously before the comment he made about Ethiopia and fried chicken. Mental health and suicide prevention are very important to the NWA president, Billy Corgan, and myself. If you're ever needing help or need to speak with somebody, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255 or online at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Sincerely, Dave Lagana, Vice President, Lightning One, and National Wrestling Alliance. Now, we all know Jim Cornette to be a very controversial figure. You can go out there and listen to him on a weekly basis and surmise that on your own. Now, while Cornette is responsible for his own words and his own actions, especially being the voice of NWA, a lot of other people signed off on the release of this episode. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. The comments about Trevor Murdoch and the fried chicken and how tough he is and Ethiopia, right? All I have is one question. If Dave Lagana and Billy Corgan knew of this episode going out there, I'm sure that they proofread, quote unquote, right? They watch the episode back for any errors. And in light of this comment, if they really did go back and watch the episode before it actually aired live in front of people on YouTube, don't you think that they would have heard the comments made by Jim Cornette before they actually aired the fucking episode? You mean to tell me that nobody proof-watched this video to hear those comments, but then you allowed it to air on YouTube anyway? So, if that's the case, then I have no problem with anybody being upset about NWA or being upset in regards to NWA, because if that is the case, if by chance nobody went back and proof-watched this for any errors or any miscues, which is a common occurrence in the editing field, right? If they watch this back and they let that slide, then they're just as bad as Jim Cornette. Now, I know I proof watch all my stuff, and sometimes there are mental errors. Sometimes there is a redo in my videos, which I own up to. I'm not perfect. I'm not a fucking machine. Mistakes happen, especially when I'm ill and I'm not all there. But if they want to tell me that they proof watched this video and didn't know of that comment being made, I'm not going to believe a single fucking word out of their mouth. At all. Because they should have watched this back and removed it before it even aired. Or pulled him to the side and said, Jim, you can't really be saying this shit. But they allowed this to happen. The man went out there and said this insensitive comment, and then he got blasted for it on social media. I don't know. I don't know, it just seems very bizarre to me. Now, he is responsible for what he says, especially as the voice of NWA. Now, following this situation, NWA released another statement confirming that Jim Cornette has resigned from the company following this insensitive comment made on commentary. NWA's statement on the matter reads as follows, and I quote, "Effective immediately, Jim Cornette has resigned from the National Wrestling Alliance. As an announcer on the November 19th edition of NWA Powerrr, Jim made remarks during a singles match between Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch that were both offensive and do not meet the high standards of decency and good faith of the National Wrestling Alliance." They have more to say, but again, I'm not going to believe a single word out of these people's mouths when they tell me, or if they tell me, or if they tell their audience, well, yeah, we watched it back, and we didn't see any error in it then. Give me a break. Somebody had to go back and watch this and hear the fucking comments made by Jim Cornette. Now, I don't know if it's a situation where maybe commentary wasn't in the original and then they dubbed the commentary in after the fact. I don't know. I don't know what their procedures are. But it seems a little weird that this was left alone in this YouTube upload and then scheduled to be a YouTube premiere and nobody knew that these comments were made. I don't get it. But Trevor Murdoch and Nick Aldis, this match with Cornette's commentary over it, they were both offensive and do not meet the high standards of decency and good faith of the National Wrestling Alliance. You gave this man a job. You gave this man a job knowing what he said in the public, knowing what he says on his podcast, knowing what he says on Twitter, knowing how controversial he is. You gave him a job with the NWA, knowing that this guy is a loose cannon. You gave him a job because he is the old school. When people think of old school NWA, what is one of the first names that comes to mind? Jim Cornette. You wanted to go back to that old school feel, and you felt like Jim Cornette was that way into the old school, that people are going to be familiarized with NWA because Jim Cornette is there, right? But you gave this man a job. So who's to blame? You're to blame. You knew exactly what you were getting. Now, Jim Cornette is also to blame because it's 2019. We're going into 2020. There are certain things that one cannot say on social media. There are things that people will be easily offended by because they got thin skin. Give me a break. Don't let this ruin what is ultimately, from what I hear, a great show. Now, to ensure that such an error can never happen again, we've established new procedures of review for all NWA programming going forward. We sincerely regret our failure in this regard. So, by that, it kind of goes against everything I said. Nobody proof watched this video. So who's to blame here? NWA is just as much to blame as Jim Cornette. So, Nick Aldis, he was obviously a part of this segment. He went on social media and tweeted this, and I quote, "I'm sorry for the inappropriate remarks, and I'm glad to see they've been promptly edited out. I hope this is the first and last time an episode of NWA Powerrr is overshadowed by something like this. My 2 cents, this is in no way speaking on behalf of NWA. I am absolutely just speaking for myself. I thought the comment was in poor taste and unnecessary. I totally understand why it caused many to be upset. It was a lack of judgment or sensitivity. I have worked really hard along with many others on this team to make sure this brand means something again, and this is not how I want NWA to be trending." Aldis isn't the only one to address this controversy. Dave Lagana did the same. On tonight's episode of NWA Powerrr, airing on November 19th, 2019, one of our talents made comments which some viewers found offensive. We deeply regret the error and apologize. We have temporarily taken the program down while we correct this error. Jim Cornette made his first public comments on this week. "Morning, everybody. Heard any good jokes lately? This coming Friday's Jim Cornette Experience." I don't know if it's up by the time this podcast goes live. I don't know. "This coming Friday's Jim Cornette Experience is liable to be a good one if you like hearing stupid people told what they can do with their stupidity." End quote. Now, all I have to say in regards to this, my remaining thoughts on this are as follows, okay? I take my play-by-play commentary role with House of Glory very seriously. I will never, as long as I have a commentary position with them or wherever I am after House of Glory, never go out there and try and get myself over. Ever. You are the voice of a promotion. You are the voice of this company as it concerns NWA. I am the voice of House of Glory. Me and Jason, me and Solomonster sit there and take our jobs very seriously. I, for one, as play-by-play, have my voice littered over everything on their social media, on their highlight packages, on the clips that they take from the shows to promote the next show, to promote what happened at the show that we were at doing commentary on. I will never go out there and do anything or say anything to make them look bad. I am very fortunate that I have a job with them, and I am very lucky to have a job where I can sit and call talent in the ring and their matches to get them ready for their future. Current talent that's major on the independent circuit, I have a front row seat calling their matches. I get a front row seat to watch every student at that school go in that ring and see grow and mature. I will never jeopardize that. You are the voice of a promotion. What you say, what you do, your actions is a reflection on them. If you gave a shit about NWA, you would have known in 2019 that you gotta grow the fuck up and not make fucking comments like that. Is the world sensitive to what we see and hear on social media? Yes, we all know that. But that doesn't give you the right to go out there and try and push your luck and, push the envelope a little bit. You gotta be worrisome about other people's feelings. The fuck? My cat is trying to scratch me. I guess she loves NWA and loves Jim Cornette. See? She loves Jim Cornette. What do I gotta do with her now? What do you want? What do you want? So that's all I'm gonna say on this situation. Jim Cornette is the voice of NWA. He should have known better. Never put yourself in a position where you are the voice of that company, where you are going to be littered throughout all of their clips and highlights and this and that. You're making them look bad. He should have known better. I don't feel sorry for Jim Cornette, and NWA did the right thing. Dave Lagana and Billy Corgan and everybody else who spoke out about this, I feel sorry for them. But they made the mental error of letting this slide. You mean to tell me that you didn't know that this shit was in there? So if they knew, they're just as bad as Jim Cornette. And yeah, heat needs to come down on them as well. Those are my thoughts on that. Never put yourself in a position to get yourself over or make yourself look better than the talent by telling one of these fucking jokes. And the funny thing is, he said this same joke in 1995 while he was with the WWF. Times have changed, right? When people could say it then, get away with it, it's people laughing and being jovial about, oh my God, what a funny joke, right? Would Bobby the Brain Heenan get away with half the shit he said back in the 80s and 90s, now in 2019? No, because that's the way of the world. People are insensitive pricks, people are fucking pussies, people are fairies, but it is what it is. Not excusing Jim Cornette from his comments, it shouldn't have been said. You're the voice of the company, do better. Make them look as great as they should look. Don't make them ever look bad like they did this week. Now it is time for the main event. How many of you guys watched CM Punk on WWE Backstage? I know I did. You couldn't get me to watch that show previously, but with Punk being added to the show, I absolutely went out of my way to go watch what this man was going to do and what this man was going to say after 7 years of people voicing their opinions about wanting CM Punk back in the wrestling realm. WWE Backstage welcomed CM Punk on the show, and his involvement got them trending worldwide on social media. I watched the show. I was very entertained throughout the 1 hour of the show. CM Punk obviously added an element to that show that just gave it a must-see feel. Everything about the show was great. Every segment that Punk was in was great. He shined through the camera, watching at home. He felt comfortable. He was honest. He was real. He was Phil Brooks. And he made for an enjoyable television show. And he gave us a cherry on top of the fucking cake. He shit on Seth Rollins at the end of the show. I can't hate on this at all. I thought it was fantastic. Now, he did sit down with Renee Young. He did sit down with Renee Young before they even got into the current WWE weekly shows. CM Punk sat down with Renee Young. He said his job at WWE Backstage did not exist 6 months ago, let alone 6 years ago. He said someone floated him the idea, and he admitted that it could be interesting, and it kind of snowballed from there. Yes, it snowballed after WWE Backstage ratings came in on week 1, where they drew 49,000 viewers. So Fox couldn't pick up the phone fast enough to get CM Punk. They were mulling around the idea, maybe we should bring in CM Punk. Then there were reports saying that Fox executives were over the situation, that, maybe CM Punk coming on in is not going to happen. Bullshit. They seen those ratings coming for week 1. They picked up that fucking phone faster than you can blink to get CM Punk signed to a deal on WWE Backstage. He said wrestling and what he's doing now are two totally different things. He doesn't have a relationship with anyone in the WWE. It's strictly him and Fox. And that's a very interesting dynamic. He's not employed by WWE, and he gets to criticize the product. So where are all those people now that went on social media and said, well, CM Punk is back with the WWE? Right, all these parasites on social media thinking that they know more than they really do, trying to act tough and act smart. Oh, he's back with the WWE? You're a fucking idiot if you don't think so. Out of the man's mouth, in his own words, I am a Fox employee, and I'm not an employee of the WWE, and I get to criticize the product. What does that mean? What does that mean, parasite on social media who don't know anything? You know Phil Brooks, right? He had coffee with Phil Brooks the other day, right? He told you himself that he was a WWE employee. Sit the fuck down. Sit the fuck down. He's an employee to Fox with a hopeful chance that he will come back to the WWE. And that's all it is right now. When CM Punk is back in a ring on Raw or SmackDown or in a main event of WrestleMania and in a major program, then we can all sit down and collectively say, as a community, he is back with the WWE. Until then, shut the fuck up. Okay? CM Punk said maybe this is his way to find himself in the business again. Exactly what I just uttered. Said that he wants to be the voice of the voiceless, no matter how cheesy that sounds. He wants to be the voice of the wrestling fan. He's not going to be punished for talking about what he wants, and he's going to talk about whatever he wants like he needs to. And he felt like if he was on the WWE contract, he would not be allowed to do that. Punk revealed that the butterflies that he had are back, and that he's not dead inside anymore, which is a man that has been through it all and has sat and contemplated and just sat with himself and realized that he did not want to live with this animosity anymore. This is a man who wants to find peace with himself and peace with certain situations. Those are chapters and feelings in his life that he wants to leave behind. So for him to come out and say, you know what, I want to look at things in a different way. I want to be a new version of myself. I don't want to be dead inside anymore. I'm not dead inside anymore. I don't want to harbor these ill will feelings towards anybody. That is a respectable CM Punk. He also said that he was talking to his wife backstage at WrestleMania before his match with The Undertaker. And when his music hit, he said to her, I would rather just stand here and talk to you instead of go out there and wrestle. Now he feels much better about things as he was checked out of wrestling at that time. He said that he mastered wrestling, and now he's moved on to a new exciting adventure on WWE Backstage. CM Punk summed it up quite nicely when he said, I'm at a point in my life where I can pick and choose what I do, and I don't have to work with jerks. It's crazy. So, obviously, with Renee Young sitting right next to CM Punk, she did eventually get to the possibility of CM Punk wrestling again for WWE. He said that it's not something he wants to do or is actively pursuing, but he's lived long enough to say never say never. Now, this is obviously everybody's thought with him being on the show, that he will be back in the WWE, that this is the gateway. And we mentioned this when we talked about it last week, that this is the gateway like WWE 2K was the gateway to mend the relationship with Bill Goldberg in the WWE, the Ultimate Warrior in the WWE, Hulk Hogan and the WWE. This was a gateway to get Sting in the WWE, to get him at that Survivor Series, helping Team Raw, and him battling Triple H at WrestleMania 31. This is a gateway to a mending possible fix for the WWE relationship with CM Punk that right now is currently strained. We all know this, and this is what everybody is hoping. They want CM Punk back in the WWE, and this is his one foot in the door. Now, never say never. This is coming from a man who said, what is it going to take to get me back in the WWE or in a wrestling ring again? A big bag. Or a large bag, meaning money. I'm sure he's making very well, or he's making do. He's doing well for himself with the contract that I'm sure Fox gave him. But is that going to be greater than WWE money with Saudi Arabia and then the TV deals that are right now holding WWE up on its back, right? So he wants a big bag. At least he's honest. I haven't talked to anyone in WWE. It's nothing that I am actively pursuing or interested in, but I'm 41 years old, and I've lived and experienced life where I know not to say no. But that's going to be a bridge that is going to have to be built, and it might take as long as building the Great Wall of China, because there are some obvious hurdles. There are some hurdles there. Now, he's got a strained relationship with Triple H. That's very well known, right? They're not buddy-buddy. They don't like each other. Man was fired on his wedding day by the company. They didn't give two shits about him. Everything that they looked at when in regards to CM Punk, they turned down. They never gave him movie deals. They never let him main event WrestleMania. He was always at a certain ceiling. And they were never going to push him past that certain ceiling. He was not in the mold to be the face of WWE. They had other plans for other individuals. CM Punk was not in those plans. He was used as a top-tier guy, but never meant to be the top guy. They did not appreciate CM Punk back when he was there. They only appreciated him to a certain extent. And we all know that he was just as good as anybody else, if not better. We all knew that he deserved, through the hard work that he showed us, to battle from where he was to where he got. We all knew that that man deserved more than what he was given. And that he should have been the face of the company because they had nobody else at that time. He was the chosen one by the fans, and the WWE, you all know, does not give a shit about what we think. They're going to do what they want to do with who they want, and that's the end of it all. Now, it's going to be something that's going to take a long time. It's going to be some hurdles. Vince McMahon went on Stone Cold's podcast before it got canned on the WWE Network, and he asked, in the light of it all, after it just happened, when they let him go, would you be willing to work with CM Punk again? He asked Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon did not hesitate and say, yes, I would be willing to work with CM Punk, always. Triple H. I don't know how Triple H felt at that time. I don't know how Triple H has developed as far as a human being goes over the last 6-7 years. But if there's one thing I know about Paul Levesque, is that Paul Levesque knows business. Paul Levesque knows how to make money. Paul Levesque knows what the fans want. Paul Levesque is more open to listening to what the fans want than anybody else in the WWE. Thus, we got NXT. I think Paul Levesque knows that with CM Punk back in the fold, that it's best for business. That there is money to be made there. There's money to be made by CM Punk, and there's money to be made by the WWE by using CM Punk in a way that they should have used CM Punk in all those many years ago. I don't think Paul Levesque is going to have those same feelings about CM Punk, and if he does, they're going to fall at the wayside to do what is right for business. So yeah, there are some hurdles there, but it's all depending on how they want to work with each other, when they want to work with each other, in what capacity they want to work with each other, and how mature everybody has gotten over the last 6 or 7 years. But I think it's going to work in the favor of the fans because CM Punk will be back in the WWE. He will not be in the Royal Rumble. He will not be at WrestleMania. And I don't want to see him in the Royal Rumble or at WrestleMania. I don't want to see CM Punk in that capacity because he's going to be right in the middle of a shitstorm, which we'll talk about tomorrow. I don't want to see him in the ring because this is a guy that's been away from wrestling for 7 years. That is a lot of ring rust. I don't want to see CM Punk at 50% get back in the ring just because WWE wants to utilize CM Punk on the height of his popularity. I don't want to see that. I want to see CM Punk when he's ready. I want to see CM Punk against an opponent of his choosing. I want to see CM Punk come back when he wants to come back, in the capacity that he wants. CM Punk is not going to come back just to make money. CM Punk is going to come back. He's going to be ready. He wants the proper storyline, and he wants to be legitimately what everybody calls him, the best in the world. You're not going to get CM Punk at 50-50. You're not going to get somewhat decent in the world. You're going to get the best in the world, CM Punk. Now, during his appearance on WWE Backstage, CM Punk revealed who knew about his big surprise. He revealed that his inner circle is very small, which I'm not surprised by because he lost a lot of those work acquaintances after leaving wrestling. He says, and I quote, "My inner circle is very, very small right now. You know, it's the funny thing about being outside of the wrestling bubble. The people that you have who are friends that you realize are just work acquaintances or people who are just kind of just around, they fall to the wayside. That's what happens. Obviously, my wife knew. Renee Young knew. Jim Ross knew, who he says he talks to on a weekly basis. About 10 to 12 people knew. So then we get into the segment of the show where they're going over what happened on SmackDown. King Corbin introduced the big dog mascot on SmackDown last week, and a few people were amused by this segment. Hearing Roman Reigns' entrance music accompanied by a Chihuahua bark is not exactly what I look at when I watch a wrestling show. That didn't seem to sit well with the fans either. Thus, the rating that SmackDown got, the lowest since the debut. CM Punk was obviously not a fan of this segment either. When they showed that clip on WWE Backstage, Punk was typical CM Punk. He did not hold anything back. He says, and I quote, "I mean, this is something. The less said about this, I think the better. It makes me reconsider even doing this show. Did I like it? You cannot possibly defend that. The creative is bad. I don't know anything about Baron Corbin. He's one of the newer guys. I've got to check him out. But that's a bad start. What did you think of it, Paige? Please tell me you thought it was garbage. It was garbage, right?" That's what CM Punk said on WWE Backstage. And he uttered everything that we all thought about that segment on the show. There's no way you can possibly defend it. During the end of WWE Backstage, CM Punk was asked if he had any advice for Seth Rollins. He suggested that Rollins delete his Twitter account or his Twitter app. Renee Young said it was a good idea to delete your Twitter app every now and then, just for a few days. Then CM Punk elaborated a bit on Rollins' current social media situation. He says, and I quote, "Seth needs to stop tweeting and realize that sometimes it's better to be viewed as the fool when you shut your mouth than to open your mouth and remove all doubts." Rollins seen this. And did Rollins take CM Punk up on his advice? Of course not, because Seth Rollins is this right here. Seth Rollins is a clown. Seth Rollins is this. Seth Rollins is a pink condom head wearing pineapple fucking trunks and American flag floaties. That's Seth Rollins. Did he listen to CM Punk? Of course he didn't listen to CM Punk. Rollins was obviously watching WWE Backstage, and he saw what CM Punk had to say about him. He fired back with a short reply saying, "Hell of a response, coward." End quote. Clearly, Seth Rollins has a mental deficiency. Stop being desperate, clown. You're not getting a match with CM Punk, and nobody wants to see Seth Rollins in a match with CM Punk. I don't think anybody wants to see Seth Rollins on TV. They didn't even want to see him at Full Sail. How did you feel about that one, champ? How did you feel about the niche audience chanting Seth is not cool? Sure, that stung a little on the inside, right? I'm sure you're cool at home with Mrs. Becky Lynch, the man of the house. Rollins is a clown. Stop tweeting. Stop being desperate. Seth Rollins is so fucking ruined at this point in his career that he's got to seek something right now that is immensely hot in WWE, cling to it, and try and suck the life out of it. Because his career is ultimately dead. That's all that is. Get rid of your Twitter app. Lock it the fuck up. Give your phone to Becky Lynch. There's no reason why you even need Twitter at all. Now, WWE Backstage viewership doubled with CM Punk. Last week's Backstage show on FS1 drew 100,000 viewers. That was obviously up from the 49,000 dismal number that they drew the week prior to that. Last week's show saw the return of CM Punk. It was later revealed that Punk would be serving as a special analyst. Obviously, he was on this show. This was his first full debut episode. Many people expected the viewership for the FS1 show to shoot right through the roof with CM Punk, especially considering that this was the first time anybody has seen CM Punk advertised on a WWE program in over 5 years. Despite the advertised appearance from CM Punk, Fox will likely still be disappointed with the viewership numbers from this week's show. According to Showbuzz Daily, the show this week brought in 180,000 viewers. This is triple what the show brought in on week 1, which was 49,000, and drew significantly more than last week's total of 100,000 viewers. Now, when the ratings came in, WWE Backstage pulled in 180,000 viewers. This is obviously up 80,000 from the last week that the show drew. Now, there is talk that WWE is not happy about this. I don't know what the fuck they're not happy about. According to sources at WWE headquarters, there is a lot of talk at the headquarters of the ratings for WWE Backstage and how they did not even break 250,000. So right now, there are people in Stamford, Connecticut not happy about the ratings for WWE Backstage. I don't get these people. They are truly fucking mental. The people who work for WWE are truly of another breed. They are the dumbest fucking people I think that exist running a wrestling promotion or wrestling company. What do they expect for a show that is on at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, aka a school night, aka a work night, aka a night where people are probably in fucking bed at 11 p.m.? The only people that are up are people like me, who don't have to get up for work in the morning. I don't know what you're expecting. A lot of people watched this on DVR. A lot of people went back and watched it on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or saved it for the weekend. Maybe they caught the replay. Or maybe they just watched the YouTube clips of CM Punk on social media and on YouTube. The WWE on Fox YouTube account uploaded the entire sit-down of CM Punk with Renee Young, where he answered all of those questions. They uploaded clips and behind-the-scenes backstage clips that you didn't see live on the show on their YouTube channel. The sit-down with Renee Young on the WWE on Fox YouTube channel. They uploaded the entire sit-down with Renee Young. The video is near 2 million views, over 69,000 likes, and was trending number 23 on all of YouTube on Wednesday afternoon. I don't know what the fuck you expect. I don't know what you want. I don't know how you could actually go out there and willingly say, I'm disappointed in the reaction and the audience retention that CM Punk drew on WWE Backstage. Are you fucking mental? You're gonna sit there and shit on a fucking show that airs at 11 p.m. on a work night and cite, oh, I'm disappointed with the fucking ratings. It's much more than the ratings. Is CM Punk a fucking draw? He's not on a fucking wrestling show. It's a talk show talking about the garbage that you put out. So if people are turned off by the fucking show, they're obviously not going to tune in to watch the show, no matter if CM Punk is there or not. You're lucky you got triple the amount of people watching the show to begin with his inclusion. But you're going to cite the show's ratings as the end-all be-all, and you're not going to look at the other analytics for it? 2 million views, 69,000 likes, and trending number 23 on all of YouTube is not a success? You, WWE, and the people who work for that company, you are fucked up. Fucked up. To me, that's a fucking draw. To me, CM Punk is every bit of the draw that we expected him to be. And those social media numbers prove it. Now, I don't know what else anybody's asking. Corey Graves, he gave his reaction. Now we know WWE's reaction. Corey Graves' reaction to the situation. Now, he sat down on After the Bell. He recorded a show of After the Bell before he actually seen CM Punk live on Backstage, with the news that he would be an analyst on the show. He says this, and I quote, "I know I was shocked. Everybody was shocked, and everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a thought. My thought is this. It is a great move by Fox. Fox wants the viewers and wants eyes on FS1. What better way than to get the man whose name is still chanted in arenas worldwide, one of the most controversial superstars ever in our business, CM Punk, back on WWE's Backstage as a analyst? I'm not entirely sure what the role is. I'm sure by the time this airs, he will have been on the show, and the world will know significantly more than I do at this point. This, of course, has fueled rumors, speculation plenty. Is Punk coming back to the WWE fold? Is he going to compete again? Punk himself said he's not interested in wrestling anymore. But as of his appearance, and this appearance alone, you can never say never in the WWE. And again, the debut surprise fell flat at WWE headquarters. Sources say about CM Punk's new role on WWE Backstage, his appearance and new role received a mild reaction at WWE headquarters, and sources felt that it felt flat, and it was a flat return. Now, they don't believe that it's entirely his fault, but it felt dry seeing him on a recap show. Yes, because WWE employees expected Punk to just say, "Hey guys, I'm back, let's go to work. Put me on Raw." Right? There's still no deal with the WWE. He's all Fox. He's a Fox employee. But the internal belief is that CM Punk's initial attempt at melting the ice here on WWE Backstage will, of course, inevitably lead to him getting in the ring again. 2 million views, 69,000 likes, trending number 23 on social media on YouTube. I think that's a fucking win-win for everybody. And obviously, CM Punk is going to generate interest on WWE Backstage that did not exist beforehand. I thought the show was great. When Punk is on there, I will be watching because he adds a sense of realism. He adds a sense of what everybody is wanting from these shows on Monday and Friday night. Sports. Real. They want someone who's going to speak the truth about what we're watching. And if he's allowed to do that, I mean, I don't know how you can't get behind what he's doing. Sellout. From what I seen on Tuesday night, that was nowhere near what people were saying was a sellout coming back to WWE. A, he's Fox, and B, he did not sell out at all. He did exactly what we all expected him to do. He went out there and spoke the truth on not only Baron Corbin, but the women's division as well. Said the women's division was forced. There was a forced agenda. It was a hashtag. Let the women go out there and be what we all know they could be. Real. Let them free and let them show you that they don't need all this fucking bullshit politics behind them. He said exactly what we've been saying on this podcast. He said exactly what we were all thinking. I don't know how, in any way, shape, or form, you can call that man a sellout. I thought it was great, and I'm looking forward to more CM Punk on WWE Backstage. And I know you guys are looking forward to more Off the Script. We got more coming on this weekend, this big weekend for Survivor Series, TakeOver, and Survivor Series. I got more. And just to go over what is going to happen on part 2, I got an update on Johnny Gargano, why he is not going to be at TakeOver. Survivor Series news, notes, predictions. I got everything you need leading into the Survivor Series. I got Kairi Sane. I got Oney Lorcan and a bunch of other guys asking for their release from WWE. Asuka, is she leaving the WWE along with Kairi Sane? And Rey Mysterio could also leave the WWE, which we talked about as well here on this show. WWE Survivor Series matches, what they considered, what they threw out, all the news and rumors. They're planning an epic Survivor Series surprise And I got major plans for Bray Wyatt. What is WWE's plans for Bray Wyatt moving forward into 2020 and WrestleMania season? Guys, I already said what it's going to be, and you're going to be hugely disappointed. So make sure you guys tune in to Saturday's show right here on the podcast. Thank you so very much for everything you guys do. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you guys check out all those other videos that you might have missed this week. Check out harrys.com/script. Hit up Sal Rex if you guys need any artwork at all for your YouTube channels or any projects that you guys are working on. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. This weekend's going to be big. I want you guys to be part of it on social media with me. And Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Guys, have a cold beverage for me. I know I'm going to be getting myself one. I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'm sure it's going to be pumpkin related. And I will see you guys right back here on Saturday for more Off The Script right before NXT TakeOver War Games. Until then, guys, have a great Friday, and I'll see you guys right back here tomorrow right before TakeOver and NXT.